Hey guys, welcome back to our show. Listen, I am giving a big shout out to all the dads out there, all the husbands who are raising kids and leading the family. And I want to share with you something profound that really struck me on an Instagram reel just this week. A reel popped up in my feed from Jordan M. Montgomery. And I'm just going to say it like he says it because there's no better way. But he's talking to a group of men about leadership. And he says there are three costs to leading well. Three costs to leading well. First, you will have to make hard decisions that will negatively affect the people you care about. You'll have to make hard decisions that will negatively affect the people you care about. And number two, you will be disliked despite your best attempts to do the best for the most. You will be disliked despite your best attempts to do the best for the most. And number three, you will be misunderstood and you won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. Jordan says leading well comes at a cost. And I think it's worth it to absorb this cost. It's worth it, but it's hard. Parents, what a message. What a message to remind us what the men in our lives are doing and dealing with on a daily basis. I know myself am guilty of really not recognizing my husband for the leader that he is in our family. And you might be saying, well, Jordan, my husband is not the leader. I wear the pants in the family, or I'm clearly the one that's leading the charge at my house. I want you to reconsider something. I want you to consider that there are ways that your husband is trying to lead that you don't even notice. And it's not because he's not doing a great job. It might be because you're really busy with your stuff, right? You might be tuned into the kids or you've got your own career going on, and he may be silently suffering in some way. And you know what? Not all men do suffer in the way of leadership, but I would wage to bet that many of them do. It's a tall order to lead a family. You know, when you first get married, there's this fun kind of dynamic, right? Where your husband's leading things and kind of helping make some big decisions, maybe about buying a new car. Do we buy new or used? Or how much should we spend on our first house? And you're kind of going back and forth about it. But in many circumstances and situations, the man is the one that kind of helps to make those decisions and to lead your relationship when it comes to the bigger decisions in life. And then we all know that once you start having kids, what happens is mom is nurturing the babies, right? If you're breastfeeding or bottle feeding or no matter what, like the kids are made in your body unless you adopt them. You have the baby and you're feeding them, you're clothing them, you're taking care of their every need because they are literally dependent on you. And naturally, what happens then is some of those leadership roles that dad was in kind of tend to go onto the back burner or get taken over by mom. All of a sudden, then you've got mom that's managing the social calendar of the kids, right? Running them to birthday parties on the weekends and making sure that the calendar has all of their soccer games and homework assignments that are due and this sort of thing. And then once your kids are 5, 10, 15 years old, as a couple, you can be kind of looking at each other going, how did the roles get reversed? I've talked to so many women being out, on the speaking circuits, speaking at MOPS groups and Catholic moms groups and parenting groups and men's groups, and a lot of moms say this. They say, "Man, when I met my husband, one of the things I loved about him most was that he was confident in his decisions. And even if it was kind of a wrong decision, he would just step out on faith and make a decision boldly. And then we'd kind of laugh about it if it flopped. But I always appreciated that he made decisions." Well, the same was true in my relationship. I got to tell you a funny story about how my husband and I met. We met on a blind date. And let me just tell you, things did not get started on the right foot. He showed up at my door in Houston, Texas, and was like, "Hey, I just drove 5 hours to get here," because he came from Dallas to Houston. And he said, "I just don't want to drive anymore." So he threw me the keys to his car. Oh, this is funny because I'd never even made this connection until this very second. He handed the leadership over to me the second he got in the door. And in my nervousness, I said, "Oh, our friend Laura Lee, she must not have told you about my driving, the one who hooked us up on this blind date." And he said, "Oh, no problem. You're going to do fine. You know Houston better than I do." So he throws me the keys to his new convertible. And I'm kind of nervous inside. I thought, okay, I don't even know this guy and he trusts me with his car. All right, let's do this. We're going downtown Houston. I lived in Sugar Land, which is southwest side of town. So we have to get on Interstate 59 to get downtown where we're going to lunch. So I back his car out of the parking lot and we are driving through the gates of my apartment complex to get out. And my cell phone rings. And I looked at him and I said, "Do you mind if I answer this?" And he said, "No, go ahead." So I answer the phone as I'm driving, real safe, I know. This was in my 20s. And sure enough, it was our friend Laura who had hooked us up on this blind date. She knew Josh and she knew me, and she put the two of us together. And I said, "You'll never believe this. I am with Josh Langdon driving his convertible and we're heading to lunch." She goes, "Oh my goodness, that's awesome." Well, out of the corner of my eye, I see this giant Doberman and its owner on a walk right beside our car. And this Doberman is looking wild eyed. So all of a sudden, smack, I hit this dog. I like to say that the dog ran into the car because it was on the side of the car in the front, but my husband likes to give me heck and say, "No, you hit the dog." Well, anyway, I slammed the phone down on the floorboard. The owner of the dog grabs the dog and runs off quickly because he knows his dog was part of this, mishap. And thankfully the dog survived, but they all ran away. And I just keep driving the car. I'm going slow, maybe 5-6 miles an hour, but really in kind of a firm but kind way. Josh just said, "Jordan, can you pull my car over so we can check it out real quick?" "Oh, of course we can," I said. What was I thinking? Yes. So I pull the car over. He gets out, looks at it. Sure enough, it's damaged. The front quarter panel is hanging down about 1.5 inches. And so he gets back in the car and he says, "Well, no problem. There's a little damage. It's no big deal. It's nothing that we can't fix if we want to, and I might not. So keep on driving." I said, "Keep on driving? I just hit a dog with your car. You drive." He said, "No, you've got this. You've got this. You know where you're going. You've got this." So I drive all the way downtown. And we're laughing about this on the way. I mean, we're talking back and forth about what are the chances that we would start a blind date like this? So we get into the restaurant, we sit down at the table, and and I said, "Well, first I've got to go to the restroom." I run into the restroom, I call my mom and I tell her, and you know what her first words were? Yes, they were, "Mom, don't forget this." They were, "You're probably going to go back to the table and he's probably going to be gone." Oh, thanks. Great. This is what I have to look forward to. My date's going to leave me once I get back to the table. So hung up, washed my hands, went back out to the table. He was still sitting there. I sit down and I'm nervous, right? I'm going, "Oh, this is just not how I thought this was going to go." And the waiter comes over. It's a Sunday afternoon, and he says, so what can I get you? And Josh just folded up the menus and he handed them politely back to the waiter. And he said, well, we won't be needing these menus. We'd just like for you to bring us the messiest thing you have on the menu. And the waiter was kind of a younger guy, and he just looked annoyed, like, oh no, you're making me think here. And finally he said, street tacos? And Josh said, street tacos. That sounds great. We won't need the silverware either. And so we kind of, he took the menu, he took the silverware, left us with the napkins, and I'm kind of looking at him. And they bring the tacos, and I thought, this was the perfect choice. We have to get down and dirty on these street tacos with our hands. Things are dripping out of them, stuff's falling out of them. And that's just how the date started. Just a little bit messy. But you know what I appreciated so much about him through that entire first date is he was confident in his decisions. He took the lead and said, no, I know you're saying you're nervous about this, but I'm telling you, you're capable of driving. I'm telling you that you're capable of just, throwing the decisions out the window and lamenting over the menu and just diving into some street tacos. Who doesn't like street tacos? I love them, by the way, so it's a perfect choice. And he didn't even know it. But that was leadership. I think after that date, I was really attracted to my husband because he took a stand and he did it with confidence and courage. Fast forward, we've been married almost 20 years. Do you know how many confident, courageous decisions this man has had to make for our family? We moved all the way from Texas to Colorado. That was a big decision and a big move. A lot of planning went into that the two of us did together. We moved from one house to another in Colorado. We decided to, homeschool our kids. We have 2 rental houses that we rent out as financial investments and assets for us to have in the future. These are big decisions. And he has led our family to this point. Now, maybe you're saying, Jordan, my husband, we are not there. We haven't done those sorts of things, or that seems like really big stuff or big decisions. And I can't imagine us making those decisions. Or maybe you're saying, I don't know if we'll ever be able to get there because that's not happening in our relationship. Well, this is a message for the ladies. Ladies, it is our job to really build up our husband and put him back in a place of leadership so that he can take off. That is a man's nature, to protect, to provide, and to preside over their family. So often we take that leadership from them because we naturally know our nature is to know how to love and to serve our family. And so when they need something, one of our biggest strengths and can be our biggest weakness also is that we just jump in and make sure our kids' needs are met. And sometimes we get caught up in doing this so many years that actually our kids are able to do those things for themselves, but we just keep doing them for them. And we say, well, it's a little faster if I do it. Well, it looks nicer if I tidy up. Well, I don't have time to, watch them tie their shoes and teach them how to do that. So I'm just going to get them shoes with no laces or put their shoes on for them. Well, it comes from a place of love, and I get that. But what happens when we're doing everything for everyone is we're burning ourselves out and we're not able to give to our marriage. In the meantime, our husbands are sitting on the sidelines going, hello, am I like 6th behind the dog in the line of priorities here? First, there's son 1, son 2, daughter, dog, house, then me. A lot of men feel this way. Well, when they feel kind of deflated or put in a place where it feels like they've been benched, there's a game going on, but they're really not playing it. Ladies, they're not able to lead in the way that they have been called to lead. So today I just want to talk about, what we can do to give back the reins to our husbands, to help them be the leaders they were meant to be. And first of all, I would just say something small to us is really huge to them. And that is appreciating them for what they are doing. How often, when your husband comes home from work or, has a big meeting at the office or, gets back from coaching your son's little league game, how often are you giving him a big hug and saying, you know what? This is a lot. It's a lot that you're taking on. The leadership of our family, the effort you put in at the office, the extra mile you go for our kids to be the soccer coach or the Bible study teacher or whatever it is that they're doing. How often are you praising them for that? Now, some men may be listening and going, oh, like, that's not my love language. I don't need praised, Okay. Well, how about, a sign of affection? How about a hug? How about a kiss? How about putting the fact that you're so tired and exhausted on the back burner and having some intimacy with your spouse? Showing your spouse that you respect and appreciate him. I'm so tired of all the crazy sitcoms and the movies that put men in this pathetic light, that they're just, beer belly wearing, slobs that can't even put two sentences together, much less lead their family. This is a call for us women to do what we can to elevate the leadership of our husbands. We actually have more to do with this than we think. And I think men would agree. I've asked my husband, like, does it count, when we say, thank you so much? He said, you have no idea how much that counts. Yes. Matter of fact, I don't need you taking over more of my stuff, setting up contractors to come work on the house or calling the insurance company about our insurance claim. I don't need you to do those things for me and take that load off my plate. I'm fine to do that stuff. But when you just say thank you, or I see you, or I notice what you're doing on a daily basis, or I don't even notice what you're doing on a daily basis, but I know it's a lot and I appreciate it. He said, that is tenfold what you could do for me versus taking on one of my responsibilities. So know that matters, Jordan. It matters when you say, I appreciate you. Thank you. So many times around the dinner table at night, we'll say a prayer and then we'll get ready to eat our food. But before we take a bite of food, we say one thing that we're grateful for. And one of the things that my kids used to do a lot was thank me for things. Why? Because it seemed like I was doing everything for them. And they, of course, appreciate that. So they're going to reinforce that. Once I started appreciating my husband at the table and pointing out little things that he was doing every day that I really appreciated and calling it out, then my kids start noticing what my husband is doing. And they say, Dad, I appreciate all the work that you have put into putting this trip together for us. Or I appreciate how hard you work at the office so that we can go out to dinner every once in a while, or we can buy a steak and grill it at home and enjoy a nice dinner. There's 3 costs to leading well. Just like Jordan M. Montgomery says, he says, as a leader, you're going to have to make hard decisions that negatively affect the people you care about. You will be disliked despite your best attempts to do the best for the most. And you will be misunderstood, and you won't always have the opportunity to defend yourself. Dads, husbands, leading well comes at a cost. But I think we can agree that It's a cost worth absorbing. And it's hard, but it is worth it. Ladies, I want to encourage you to go out of your way this week. Don't make a big exclamation of your gratitude one time. I want you to try to get in a habit. Set a reminder on your phone. Gentlemen, if you're listening and you think, oh, she's setting a reminder on her phone, this is just going to be one of those check boxes. Listen, we've got to do something to get us in the habit of something that we want to continue long term. So that's okay if we're checking the box at the beginning. If we are reminding ourselves to thank you for what you do for our marriage and for our family every day, that's okay, because it's going to become habit. And ladies, I want to encourage you that if words of affirmation, don't do it for your husband, still give them words, but then find out what it is that means something to them. That whether it's physical affection or helping them out in some way, I want you to consider how you can do that for your spouse. Okay? It's so important that we return to kind of that right order of relationship that we had when we were married before kids came into the picture. When we model that right order of relationships in our marriage, in parenting, our kids see this. They see that there are differences in our gender, that our nature as men and women are different, and that the complementarity of the two is awesome. If we are truly living out our roles, men as leaders, providers, protectors, presiders, and women as helpmates, right? And nurturers, those ones that love and know almost immediately what someone needs before they even say the words. If we are living in harmony in our marriage with those two roles blending together and complementing one another, we blow the doors off family life. There's just like nothing that will stop us. Have you ever met a family that has like 8, 10, or 11 kids? Look to the marriage relationship. What's that like? Usually it is passionate. It is, connected. The man is leading the family and the woman respects his leadership, and she is able to be her full feminine self, loving on people in the family and serving people left and right, and having a career or staying home. But there is this magnetic energy between the two of them, and that is because of this right order of relationship. Now, I know this episode is going to offend some people. There's going to be some people saying, no, that is not how it is in my family. And, I take the leadership role as the wife and the mom, and my husband knows that, and he's fine with it. Well, I want to just encourage you to consider that might not be true at the heart of it all. Okay, we can get ourselves twisted up. We can reverse roles and say that this is really working for us. And over time, what ends up happening is there ends up being resentment and division in the relationship. When roles are flipped on their heads, it never ends well. So listen, I just want to again give a huge shout out to the unsung heroes. These are the dads, these are the husbands in our lives who are out there leading, and they're leading well, but they're making hard decisions. They're disliked by their wife and their kids sometimes for taking a stance on something that's really necessary in the family, and they're misunderstood. I just want to say that Father's Day is coming up. It's about to happen when this episode is coming up, and you matter. We see you. Your job is hard, but dang, it is worth it for all of us. So, ladies, challenge yourself. What is it that you're going to do to recognize your husband? What is it that you're going to do to model for your kids to point out the gratitude you have for your husband and their father. Okay, let's celebrate all dads out there, all grandparents and grandfathers. Let's just celebrate that beautiful role that we need so badly in our marriages and our families. Parents, thanks for tuning in. Forward this on to someone in your network. Just share it in a text message. If you've read our emails that we send out every Tuesday promoting these episodes, please forward the episode on to someone else so that they can hear this message. And as always, if you have any comments or want to engage in a conversation, we always encourage that you reply to those weekly newsletters, and we'll get your message right away and be able to respond to you. Listen, every role in our family matters. Let's do our best to restore the right order of relationship in our families and lead our kids with courage and confidence. Parents, I'm going to catch you on another episode of our show real soon. Take care.